Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Soul Speak, the podcast for teens. I am your host, Emily Miller, Teen Intuitive. So, last week we talked about all things flu, and we are going to continue with this body series. I think I'm going to call it Body Works because it basically is explaining all the ways that our body works to communicate for us what is happening in our creator field. So, in this episode, we are going to discuss everything face. So, we'll talk about acne, and we can talk about even like eczema and rashes and things like that. And then also, I wanted to give you guys a little bit of information about wrinkles and where they come from and why we get them, and then how we can prevent them. So, yes, you don't have to have wrinkles, you can avoid that. Um, and especially like having this information now in this point in your life, is going to be so good for you because it will be like a full preventative measure. You know, everybody says, "Oh, you need Botox to prevent wrinkles." No, you don't. Botox is toxin, in case you didn't know. Botulinum, I think is the word. Toxin. You don't have to put toxin in your body to create wrinkles. Exactly the opposite is actually what you want to do to prevent wrinkles. So we'll get into that. But first, I want to kind of tell you this is like the skin stuff. Acne is the very first thing that really brought me to the realization that I could help other people with all the spiritual knowledge that I have. Because, you know, like everybody, we kind of get into whatever it is that we're getting into for like selfish reasons because ultimately, like, we want to make our lives better, right? So little did I know, learning all of the things that I was starting to learn about the world and, you know, all the laws of the universe and, you know, how everything in our lives is created by us and that we ultimately have the control over our lives. Um, Learning all of that stuff allowed me to see how it was working for me. And then, like, the best part of it all is that it made me realize how I can help other people understand these same exact concepts and then guide them and show them how they have the power to like fix and solve any sort of issue that they're having in their own lives. And the first person that I ever like experimented on with this, because every time I learn something new, I experiment first on myself and to see, okay, is this going to work? How did I get this to work? Can I make it work again? And if I can repeatedly see that the steps that I'm taking to get certain results work every single time, then I'm like, okay, if I know how to do this and I can do it for myself over and over again, then I can teach it to somebody else in the exact same way that I did it so that they can get the exact same results over and over and over again. So, the first person that I experimented on this with outside of myself was my daughter. And she knows that I'm telling this story. I always like to share this story because it's just so impactful and so important in the way that I came to where I am now. So, from I want to say it was like a super early age, she started experiencing acne on her face. And the first place it really popped up was on her forehead. And it was pretty bad. Like, it wasn't just like a little bump here, a little bump there. It was tons of like little bumps just covering her forehead. So much so that, you know, it bothered her, but also there were other people pointing it out to her. And so she came home one day and she told me this story about this other little kid who basically like called out her bumps on her face, and I could just tell like she was just like broken inside. Like, it literally like hurt my body looking at her, knowing that somebody made her feel that way. And I was like, I have got to be able to do something about this for her. And so this was maybe like 2 years later, because the acne stuck around because we didn't really know exactly the emotional root cause of it because I didn't have those tools at that time. And so we didn't know what the emotional root cause of it was to be able to get to like the very root of the issue to be able to clear it up. And so after I was able to like, get all of my processes in order to figure out how to get rid of it for her, then I was like, oh my gosh, we have to try this on her. And so we started using these methods that I was learning of how to get to the emotional root cause of it and then to clear that emotion, that feeling that was driving her body to communicate to her how she was feeling about herself to clear it up. So we figured that out. We sat down, we worked together. We had, like little notebooks and journals, and we love journaling around here. It's just such a wonderful, like therapeutic way to get things out, get emotions out of the system so that your body can clear them and be rid of them. So, anyway, we were working together, like figuring out, okay, where did this start? Where did this stem from? And we got there. We figured it out. Okay, using my intuition and her sitting with me, consulting with me, and like giving the confirmations. Yeah, mom, I do feel that way. I do feel like that. That makes so much sense. And so then we were able to put these like little systems in place for her to turn to every single time she would start feeling a certain way. It would pop up and show on her face. And it was on forehead, and sometimes she would get it on her jawline, and we'll talk about kind of the different areas and what that is in a minute. But she would get it in different areas, and each time that it popped up in a different area, it would be communicating to her that she was feeling a certain way about certain things that were happening in her life and how she was like being towards herself. So I think I tell this in the very first episode of the podcast, but we were sitting in the kitchen one morning, and we were getting ready to go to a hair appointment together, and she is just standing there eating, and I'm sitting on the counter, I'm looking at her face, and I was like, oh my gosh, her face is like crystal clear, beautiful. What happened to all of these bumps that have just been like literally torturing her for 2 years? Where'd they go? What happened? And I was like, it worked. Everything that we have been working on worked. The work worked. So it was this huge moment where I was like to myself, I went through this like train of thought. Oh my God, if I can help Annalise, my daughter, clear all of this from her existence, she didn't have to deal with this acne anymore. I can help other people do the exact same thing, not only with acne, but like all the things that I was working on, all the things that I was helping my son with, my husband with. First it started with me, then I moved it out to my family, and I could see that everybody in my household, their lives were improving by knowing the things that I knew. And so by like seeing that with her and noticing like she was able to do that, I was able to give her the tools to empower her to change something in her life that was really causing big problems for her, like at school and with friends and all sorts of stuff. So that's kind of like the first thing that made me realize, okay, this works for me, it works for other people. So skin stuff is like the like the root for me of how I really got to see how everything in our lives can be changed by realizing that you have control over it. And so whenever we have anything going on with our face is like the thing that we present to the world. It's the way people see us, right? The first thing that you do when you look at someone typically is you look at their face, right? You look them in the eyes. If you're walking up to them and talking to them, you are noticing, all the things about their face, their smile, or if they're not smiling, like it's the face is the way that we look at other people. And so anytime you have anything going on with your face, anything that you don't like, then it is you having a way that you are thinking that is out of alignment, that you think other people think about you. So it's how people perceive us. So anything that you think people are thinking about you, that's the face, because it's how people see us. So it's how we think other people see us. So the acne part is really big, and this goes for, if you have big outbreaks or one pimple, one tiny bump. We don't like to call them pimples in our house. We have to call them bumps. It sounds less, I don't know what the word is. But anyways, we just, we got a bump, we got a bump. But anyways, so where was I going with this? I just totally lost my train of thought. The acne, the bumps, anytime you have a pimple, whatever it is on your face, that means that you feel like you cannot truly express yourself. So that would be, it's super, super common. I know that like a lot of people will have acne issues in like middle school and high school. It starts to pop up then. And a lot of people are like, oh, well, it's just hormonal acne. But while that does come into play, it's not the sole reason for the acne, because we can, if we were to blame it on hormones or blame it on the food that we're eating only, then that would put it completely outside of your control. But we know here at Soul Speak that that is not true. We can change anything in our existence. So if you are feeling that way, or if you're experiencing any sort of acne on your face, any sort of bumps, then you need to say, okay, well, maybe it could be a little bit hormonal. Maybe it could be a little bit with the foods I eat. Maybe it could be due to stress. But deep down to the very core of the reason why you are experiencing acne is because you've got this feeling that you can't fully express yourself in the way that you were meant to. And typically that's because you are worried about what other people think about you. And so if you're having any of these feelings of, I can't behave this way because I won't be accepted. I can't say these things because people won't like me. I can't move this way, wear this thing, put my makeup this way, wear my hair this way, join this club, be good at math, join the theater club because nerds do that, or I can't, whatever the thing is, this conception that you have, this perception that you have in your head that people will think about you if you do the things that you truly love. So you think, oh, well, I'm really, really good at acting, but the group of friends that I have right now, they always say, oh, look at those theater nerds over there. Or you think, okay, I really, really want to try martial arts, but I'm like known as this like dancer, like a girly girl. And if I try this martial arts, then people are going to think that I'm like too manly, too masculine. But I know that I'd be really good if I go try this thing. So these are kind of the ways that this pops up in your emotions that would create something like that on the face. And it's just like this societal programming that we have, and we've talked about this multiple times, but it's so important in the face stuff, is that because it's how we think people think about us, and that we can't be our true selves. And so if you want to do something, and I tell you guys this too all the time, if you want to do something, do it. Like, don't worry about what other people are going to say. Don't worry about what the people on TikTok are doing. Don't worry what the people on Instagram are doing. They're not you. If they're eating a certain thing, wearing a certain thing, dressing or doing their hair a certain way, or doing whatever the trends are on there, and you think, oh, I need to do it because they're doing it, or your group of friends are doing things and it's not something that you know is like a true heart desire of yours, but they're all doing it. So, God, because all my friends are playing soccer, I gotta go play soccer too, or else I won't have any friends. That's kind of where our thoughts go, because we've been programmed to believe that. And that really stems from like a very old belief that we have instilled in our like DNA, because thousands of years ago, well, not even that long ago, but years ago, we used to live in tribes. And in these tribal situations, we had to like be accepted by the group. And if you weren't accepted by the group, then you would be banished from this group. And if you were banished from that group, then you wouldn't be able to use all of the things that that group would bring you for safety and for food and for all of these things. Because, like back in the day when they lived in tribes, like each, kind of group of people had certain things that they were responsible for. These people went out to hunt, these people made clothes, these people cooked the food, these people watched the babies, whatever the things were. And we, at that point in our lives, needed to be in the group. We needed to be in the tribe. And if we weren't in the tribe, then we would be dead, basically. Like, we literally needed these human beings, these other human beings around us to survive. We had to have them to be safe and to eat. That is not the case anymore. We do not need this old tribe mentality that is just kind of built into us as humans. So, knowing that, we can know then that we are safe and we are able to express ourselves and do the things that we want to do, regardless if the people that are in our lives are doing the same thing. We don't have to, like to shoot arrows and kill deer. If you like to do that, cool, like go do that, have fun. But if you don't like that, you don't have to do that. It's not necessary. So that's where that kind of stems from. And it really pops up in like middle school, high school age, because that is a time in our lives where we want to be accepted. We want to, go to school, and we want to have people like us, and we want to be popular because we've seen, all the TV shows and all the movies and read all the books and been shown that, oh, being the popular kid, being liked by everybody, and popular, we'll put it in quotes, being liked by everybody is like the ultimate goal in high school and middle school, and we want everybody to like us. But is that the ultimate goal? Like, what does that get you? Into a space where you have to worry all the time about what other people are thinking about you. You ultimately want to be loved for just being you, for not having these conditions put on the way that people love you. People will only love me if I look a certain way, dress a certain way, talk a certain way, move a certain way, do these certain things. And that is an old way of thinking. That is programming that is put on us from society that we need to shed, get rid of, be done with. And it's just not something that serves you, because it puts you in these states of thinking that you can't be who your true heart like desires to be. If you want to be the smartest, biggest, quote unquote math nerd ever, like, be that person. If you want to, go be a cheerleader, if you want to be artsy, if you want to, whatever the things are, if you want to be all those things wrapped up into one, and you think, oh, well, I can't do these things because that's not how this kind of person would act. It's not true. You act however you want to act, and you get to do all the things you want to do regardless of what other people think of you. If you want to move, and let's say you were that cheerleader and you were this, like, peppy, known to be like this happy, peppy person. But then you decide, okay, that's not for me anymore. It's not sparking joy. It's not making me happy. And I want to go do the martial arts, or I want to go join the math club. I keep saying that. I want to go, become an artist. Whatever the thing is that you want to do, go do it. Go try it. Because ultimately, we don't need everybody to like us. In fact, if that does happen, it kind of creates a lot more work. So it's really actually fun to be able to just do whatever it is you want to do. Okay, and so back to the acne stuff. Whenever that's popping up on your face, I'll kind of talk to you about some of the areas that it can pop up. So, like I was telling you, it could come on the forehead. And if it's ever on the forehead area, it's you feeling like you can't truly express yourself because of the way that you think people are going to think about you. So, this is like thoughts. And so, anytime you think somebody's like thinking about you and making you, and has this idea of you that's just not the way that you actually are. Like if you have it on your jawline, this one I see really common. It's because you think that your words aren't strong and that people, because this is your jaw and it's what we bite with, and it's like a super strong muscle in the body, right? It's super strong and it's connected to our mouth. And so our mouth is the words that we're saying. So thinking that our words are not strong and that maybe people are perceiving you and thinking of you as weak because you can't express yourself the way that you truly want to. So that could be it. If you get it like right here on your face, on the cheeks, and when you smile, it raises them up, and your cheeks are like they're like full and they're happy. And so anytime that you might have it on the cheek area, then that could be a way of your body communicating to you that you think that you aren't able to express yourself to create happiness for you in the way that you want to because you think people are going to judge you for it. One of the things that I told my daughter too, because it's popped up here for her before and for other people too, but I was like, okay, so think about what's something that makes you happy. And she was like, cartwheels. I was like, okay. So next time you feel like, oh, because she was still, I think she was maybe in sixth grade. Anyway, they were still like going outside and like playing and everything. And I was like, next time you feel like you want to do a cartwheel, look around. Like, don't worry who's there. Or don't look around. Don't worry who's there. Don't see who's, looking at you. Just do a cartwheel. And then, you know what happens? Other kids start doing the cartwheels. And so then she had like a whole bunch of kids just having fun and playing. And because she wasn't worried about what other people were thinking about her and what was making her happy. And then ultimately what that was able to do was like bring other kids that were out there playing with her and bring them happiness too. So you think like, oh, I can't be this, I can't be that because people won't accept me for it. But the actual opposite is true. It makes people be like, oh man, look at how amazing that person is. And if they can do that, then I can do that too. If they aren't worried about, these stipulations that society has put on them, then I don't have to worry about it either. And so then you get to like show people, you get to be the example and show them like, oh yeah, you can be whatever you want. You can move and say and do and be you without having to be like super concerned with what other people are thinking about you. And we were going to do rashes and like eczema. So anytime you have, or what's the other one? I think it's psoriasis. Those kinds of like irritations on the face, if it's anything that's kind of like itchy, then it's going to be that you're having lots of irritation that you just can't let go of. You can't release it. And so you're holding on to this irritation about how people think about you, what you think people think about you. And then eczema, sometimes it's like scaly skin, sometimes it's itchy, so you'd apply that idea to it. And if it's like kind of scaly and your skin is flaking off a little bit, then feeling like you have no control over how people are thinking about you. So that's another skin thing that's super, super common, is like rashes, eczema, psoriasis, that kind of thing. So it's real easy to get down to like the root of it and be able to shift out of it once you realize like the exact place that it's stemming from and what belief you're holding about yourself. And then you get to be able to prove that that's not true. You don't have to have that belief, and you don't have to have those skin issues that you're having. You can change it. Oh, and then the last thing that we were going to talk about was wrinkles. So a lot of people think that you have to have wrinkles, that you have to age, and that wrinkles are a necessity. And if you don't want wrinkles, then you have to have surgery or do injections of some sort, like fillers or Botox or whatever, to not have wrinkles. That is also not true. We are actually, as human beings, made up by source to not really age past the age of 25. Did you know that? So once your body is like fully formed, your brain is fully formed, everything is done growing and changing from childhood to adulthood. Your body is not supposed to really age after that. Any aging that we experience is just stress that you are putting on your body through your thoughts and beliefs and feelings about yourself. So, anytime on your face that you get wrinkles, like, big, deep wrinkles on your face, that is a sign of worry. So, on your face, then it's different areas mean different things about what you are worried about. So, I was just wrinkles equal worry. And so, a lot of times people will get them on their forehead and they're super worried about what people think about them. So, think about it. If you had that belief as a 15-year-old, let's say, and you got acne on your forehead because you felt like you couldn't express yourself, and then you started worrying about that, and then there was a belief that was planted into your subconscious and then conscious brain, and then you were constantly worried about what people were thinking about you, and you did that year after year after year, and you created that stress by having that belief that didn't feel good within your body, then these wrinkles would start to develop, and then they would get deeper and bigger and heavier because you keep having that same belief, and you never release it. You never let go of it. So those wrinkles have no choice but to grow and develop. You can also get wrinkles in between your eyebrows, and that one is for like your it's like if you make that face, then you're getting that wrinkle right there because you're like contemplating, you're worried, you're thinking about what somebody else is like thinking about what you're saying. And you're kind of like uh, worried about like them understanding what you're saying also. You can get lines right here on your face, and these are like little smile lines, and these come from not getting back to a state of happy and like being, worried and worried again, but worried about like how you're going to be able to be happy, how you can get back to being happy, and you're staying in like a state of unhappiness. And then you can get lines around your lips, and you can get, little crow's feet lines right here. And so they all just come from worry in different areas of life. So that's something good to think about. You don't have to have wrinkles. We just don't worry and we don't get wrinkles. So you don't have to, think, oh, just because I'm getting older, I'm going to have to, have plastic surgery or whatever to get rid of wrinkles. There's other ways to shift these beliefs that we have about ourselves so that we can stay wrinkle-free forever. Because technically, if, you never put any stress on your body, you'd never have to age a day after 25, which is pretty cool. So, I think that's everything for the face stuff today. And I want to remind you guys to sign up for the email list so that you can be invited to our exclusive free webinar events that I'm going to start hosting for all sorts of extra stuff with Q&As. You can come with your questions, and I can use my intuition to help you guys get to the root of any issues that you are experiencing. We'll learn, fun new techniques because we can go a little bit deeper and talk a little longer in the webinars. So sign up for the email list and like the podcast, subscribe to it, make sure so you can keep listening to it every single week because we will have a new episode every single week. Next week, the topic is going to be for the body. We're going to talk like all things feminine issues, like our reproductive things, our periods, and why we have, shorter ones, longer ones, heavier ones, painful ones, PMS, all of that kind of stuff. So come back next week for a fun episode on all things women body things. We'll talk about that. And how to kind of relieve some of our symptoms from those. So subscribe to my email list and I will see you next week. Actually, I wanted to give you guys one more little thing. Make sure that this week, because I always like to leave you with something to kind of like ponder on and try to work on. Do something. If you're experiencing any of this kind of skin stuff, I want for you to do something this week that you wouldn't normally do. Think, okay, am I worried? I wouldn't do this cartwheel. I wouldn't sign up for this club. I wouldn't go and wear this outfit or put my hair a certain way because I'm worried about what other people think about me. I want for you to do 1-2 actions this week that are out of your norm, out of the ordinary, things that you would normally say, ugh, I'm not going to do that because then somebody might judge me. So do that this week, and